is the solution video for Unit 7 review problem number 35. So if f of x equals the definite integral from 0 to cosine of x of the square root of t squared plus 1 dt, for what value of x in the interval 0 to 2 pi is f of x a minimum, right? And so this is kind of a Unit 5 or Unit 4 question, but also Unit 7, right? Because we have this function defined in this way. So how do we know when a minimum occurs? Well, remember, that's going to be where f prime changes from negative to positive or at an endpoint, right? Because this is a minimum, not a local minimum, right? And so I'm going to find f prime of x, right? So we're going to use the second fundamental theorem of calculus. So that says to take cosine of x and plug it in for t and then multiply by the derivative of cosine, right? So I get cosine squared x plus 1 and then times the derivative of cosine, which is negative sine of x, right? So that's f prime, right? So now we want to set this equal to 0, right? And so I've got the square root of cosine squared x plus 1 times negative sine x, right? And so now I'm going to set each of them equal to 0. So square root of cosine squared x plus 1 equals 0, or negative sine x equals 0. So now this one, if I square root, right, I get cosine squared x plus 1 equals 0, right? And so then I'm going to subtract 1, so I get cosine squared x equals negative 1, which is never true, right? Because this is cosine squared, right? So this does not contribute anything to it being a 0. So now I divide by negative 1, I get sine x equals 0. And so when is sine equal to 0? That is at 0, pi, 2 pi, right? And so on. And so I get 0, pi, 2 pi, right? Because that is our interval, 0 to 2 pi. So now I want to think I've got 0 as an endpoint, I've got pi in the middle, and I've got 2 pi as the other endpoint. And so I've got the square root of cosine squared x plus 1, and then I've got the negative sine of x, right? So this is 0 here, here, and here. And the other one is never 0, right? But moreover, right, if you think about it, no matter what you plug in here, you're always going to get a positive, right? So the top is always positive. All right, the bottom, 0 to pi. So let's say I plug in like pi over 2. Sine of pi over 2 is positive 1, but I get the negative in front, so I've got a negative. And then here, from pi to 2 pi, like 3 pi over 2, sine of 3 pi over 2 is negative 1, so it becomes a positive, right? So we have sine is or sorry, the function is a negative, then a positive, and so that means it is decreasing, then increasing, and so the minimum must occur at x equals pi. And how would you say that? Well, because f prime is only negative, then positive. And so that's it.